This is A Course in Miracles. Please take note. These are all notes to self. Lesson 89 of the workbook. This is a review lesson, and we're almost done the review. Actually, are we? Yeah. The 91 begins the new lessons, right? So we're almost done the review now. We're on lesson 89. Let's just go through very quickly, we'll go through the lessons up till now, as I've been doing. Lesson 81, I am the light of the world, and forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Lesson 82, the light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. And let me not forget my function, which is forgiveness. Lesson 83, my only function is the one God gave me. And my happiness and my function are one. So when I practice forgiveness, I bring happiness to myself and to others. Lesson 84, love created me like itself, and love holds no grievances. So in other words, I cannot hold grievances and find my way back to the happiness and the love which I really am. My grievances hide the light of the world in me, is lesson 85, and my salvation comes from me. Lesson 86, only God's plan for salvation will work, and holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. 87, I will there be light, and there is no will but God's. Lesson 88, which was yesterday, the light has come, and I am under no laws but God's. And today we have, I am entitled to miracles, and let miracles replace all grievances. That's why I said this is A Course in Miracles. Please take note. Now we're going to talk about miracles. And, I think a lot of people that do A Course in Miracles, they don't quite understand what a miracle is for the Course. And it's not the easiest thing to understand. It's not spelled out as you might hope it is. Even though there are the 50 miracle principles right at the beginning of the Course, you still might be scratching your head and be like, what is a miracle? So we'll talk about that. And the other thing I want to talk about today, someone brought it up, Chris actually, who's been listening, who's been viewing these videos consistently, and thank you. She brought up the subject of Satan, right? And what is Satan? And does Satan play any part in this? So I'm going to talk about that soon in this video. By the end of the video, I'll talk about that. So here we go. Lesson 89. These are our review ideas for today. Now, this goes back, paragraph 1, this goes back to lesson 77. I am entitled to miracles. So we already had this lesson. We're just reviewing it. And this is Jesus's new commentary on I am entitled to miracles. He says, I am entitled to miracles because I am under no laws but God's. His laws release me from all grievances and replace them with miracles. And I would accept the miracles in place of the grievances, which are but illusions that hide the miracles beyond. Now I would accept only what the laws of God entitle me to have, that I may use it on behalf of the function he has given me. Paragraph 2. You might use these suggestions for specific applications of this idea, and this is all in italics. Jesus has been giving us he's been giving us three possible statements that we can use in our practice. The first one is, behind this is a miracle to which I am entitled. Next one is, let me not hold a grievance against you, and then you give the person's name, but offer you the miracle that belongs to you instead. And seen truly, this offers me a miracle. So if I see this situation truly, it offers me a miracle. Okay, next one, paragraph 3, lesson 78, let miracles replace all grievances. Let miracles replace all grievances. By this idea do I unite my will with the Holy Spirit's and perceive them as one. By this idea do I accept my release from hell. By this idea do I express my willingness to have all my illusions be replaced with truth, according to God's plan for salvation. I would make no exceptions and no substitutes. I want all of heaven and only heaven as God wills me to have. Paragraph 4, useful specific forms for applying this idea would be, again, there are three things in italics, three sentences Jesus gives us. First one, I would not hold this grievance apart from my salvation. Second one is let our grievances be replaced by miracles, and then you give the person's name. Beyond this is, and the third one, beyond this is the miracle by which all my grievances are replaced. All right, now we're going to go through it again a little bit slower. This is lesson 89. This is a review lesson beginning with lesson 77. I am entitled to miracles, and Jesus says, I am entitled to miracles because I am under no laws but God's. And that was yesterday's lesson, review lesson. I am under no laws but God's. His laws release me from all grievances and replace them with miracles. And I would accept the miracles in place of the grievances, which are but illusions that hide the miracles beyond. Now I would accept only what the laws of God entitle me to have, that I may use it on behalf of the function he has given me. And the function that he has given me is the function of forgiveness, the function of being a miracle worker. What are miracles? Let miracles. I am entitled to miracles because I am under no laws but God's. I am God's son, and being God's son, being the loving creation of a loving creator, my real function is love. Like my reality is love. And in this world, the way that I practice love is through forgiveness. What is forgiveness? Forgiveness is seeing your brother as your brother truly is, right? Whatever they do that is disturbing you in any way or upsetting you or agitating you, making you angry, making you whatever, you overlook that. And it's not, you don't want to deny it. This is not a course in denial. I think Jesus says that at one point. You don't want to say it's not happening. You don't want to say, I don't feel angry or I don't feel upset. You want to acknowledge that. This is upsetting. This is bothering me, right? But the practice of forgiveness is where you say, yeah, I feel that. And what this person is doing right now seems to me on the surface to be not a very good thing. Effed up. This is not cool. Now, first of all, this is not to say that you don't do something. Like if someone is doing something to hurt you or someone else, you might have to take action, right? You might have to do something. But what you do can be guided from love, right? From love and forgiveness. In other words, you don't have to judge the person or hate the person in your heart when you're doing something to prevent them from hurting themselves or hurting someone else. So if someone is coming at you to hurt you, for example, or hurt someone near you, you could do something to stop that person, but you could still love that person, right? You could still be in a place of, I love this person no matter what. Whatever they're doing it because of their own pain, their own guilt, their own belief in separation. If they did not believe in separation, if they did not believe in guilt, if they did not believe in that their suffering is real, they would not be doing this. They would be in the love, right? They would be in their loving self. But the fact that they're doing this means that they're acting out of their pain. They're coming from their ego. And if I judge that, and if I let them feel that they are judged and that they are sinful or they're evil or I'm just contributing to the problem. I'm not making the problem better. I'm adding insult to injury. So what I want to do is I want to let go of seeing my brother as anything other than the loving being that he truly is, right? No matter what it looks like right now on the surface, because time is illusory. Let me give you one example. I've been reading Ken Wapnick's book, The Absence from Felicity, which is his biography of Helen Schuckman, the scribe of A Course in Miracles. And Ken worked with Helen closely for the last 8 years of her life, from 73 to 81, 1973 to 1981. He really was worked very closely with her. He got to know her probably better than anyone else ever knew her. He writes in the book that Helen did not, for whatever reason, she did not accept the love. She did not do the course on the level of form. She did not practice A Course in Miracles. She seemed bitter and unhappy until the moment of her death. But when she did die, she died with a beatific smile on her face. This is what Ken says. She seemed, when he walked into the hospital room and she was dead, or she had, passed on, however you want to look at it, she seemed really at peace, and Ken felt a real sense of deep peace. So he writes that she didn't accept it. She didn't accept Jesus' love or God's love until the very end. And that may be true for many of us, most of us, perhaps. The opportunity is on. If you want to be at peace, the Course is presenting you with the way to do it while you're still in your body and while you're still living your life. You could be at peace if you want, but you don't have to. And whether you are or not, in a way, it does not matter, because you will be at peace. Ultimately you will. Time is illusory. And whether you are at peace or not is not really my concern. I'm not going to judge you whether, if you're judgmental, who am I? That would just take away my peace if I judge you for being judgmental and for being whatever you are. My job is only to see you in the light, right? To see you in to see the perfection, right? The perfection of the situation, the perfection of you, and not to judge you. And that is the miracle. That is what the miracle is. That's where you let go of the grievance, you let go of whatever you're holding against your brother, and you experience the peace. And your brother will experience it on some level too, right? And everyone else will as well. And that is the miracle. My own, I'll just tell you real briefly, this story of my story of how I got into A Course in Miracles, which is very short version of this. I felt attacked by someone. I felt wronged by someone. A couple years after that, I was doing this journey. I won't go into that, but it came to me during the course of this ceremony that I was doing, that I really need to reach out to this person, and I need to let the person know that whatever happened was perfect, and I don't judge them. I don't hold anything against them. And I did that, and the person wrote back, and she was very happy to hear what I had to say, and we became friends after that. And that's the miracle, right? Right there. That's it right there. The miracle is where you take the high road, right? Ride the King's Highway. You take the highway, and you say, no matter what, I don't hold anything whatsoever against you. Who am I to judge you, right? If I judge you, I judge myself. I have done the same things as you in other forms, right? I might not have done the same thing as you, but I've done the same thing in a different form. I'm not one to judge. So that's the miracle. When we let go of the judgment, when we let go of the grievances, when we accept that the love of God is real, that's the miracle. Next one, let miracles replace all grievances. By this idea do I unite my will with the Holy Spirit's and perceive them as one. Oftentimes Jesus says, I unite my will with God's, but this time he's saying with the Holy Spirit's, but it's really the same thing. The Holy Spirit is the voice of God or the voice for God. By this idea do I accept my release from hell. Hell is not real, but hell is real for us because we've made sin and hell real. So it has a reality, and we can feel like we're in hell, right? That's a real thing in the illusion, right? But in reality, hell is not real, but we can make it very real, right? So I accept my release from hell in releasing grievances. By this idea do I express my willingness to have all my illusions be replaced with truth, according to God's plan for my salvation. Right? So I want to let go. I'm ready to let go of all my illusions, not just some of them, but all of them. And I'm accepting that only God's plan for salvation will work. Only God's plan for salvation means anything. Anything else, any other plan, which would have to be the ego's plan, will not work, right? It will fail. And I've seen it fail time and time again. I would make no exceptions and no substitutes. I want all of heaven and only heaven as God wills me to have. So I don't want to let anything be in the way. Not one thing be in the way of, I want all my grievances. I'm ready to let go of all the illusions and all the grievances. There's no compromise here. This is a totally uncompromising proposition that we're talking about. That's why it's so challenging, right? This is very challenging because we do want to have our cake and eat it too. We want to hold on to certain things, right? We're like, yeah, I'll forgive that. I'll let that go. I'll let that slide. I'll let this go. But when push comes to shove, we will not let it all go, right? Because that would be too much. Then our ego would be totally threatened, and the ego would move. Jesus says it would move from suspiciousness to viciousness. Then the ego would have a field day at that point, right? And so we don't want to go there because we don't want to face what that would look like, because that's scary to us. But that's what you have to do, right? You have to make that journey, and everyone who wants the peace of God does have to make that journey, because we made the journey out of the peace of God, and now we have to go back. But with Jesus's gentle method, it can be a lot more gentle. It doesn't have to be scary or tortuous or anything else like that. It can be gentle, it can be easy, it can be simple. I want all of heaven and only heaven as God wills me to have. Now it brings in God's will, right? First it said the Holy Spirit, but it's really uniting our will with God's. Useful specific forms for applying this idea would be, I will not hold this grievance apart from my salvation. Let our grievances be replaced by miracles, and then you give the person's name. So if you have a grievance with someone else, if they're holding a grievance against you, you're holding one against them. You just think maybe in your heart, let our grievances be replaced by miracles. Let's choose a miracle now instead of a grievance. Let's let the grievances go. Beyond this is the miracle by which all my grievances are replaced. Right? The miracle will replace all grievances. The miracle will show me that all grievances are nothing. The ego is nothing. The ego has no reality. Now, on that point, let's get into Satan. Some people have accused A Course in Miracles of being satanic. This is something that Chris said. She has a doctor who is a little bit narrow-minded, perhaps, in how he looks at things. I want to say that traditional Christianity does work for some people, right? Obviously, it's working for people. I think the idea of Satan could be useful for some people. For many people, it's not useful. For some people, it could be useful. Ultimately, I don't think it's useful because ultimately it's not true. How could there be a force in opposition to God? First of all, if God is God, it depends how you define God, right? But in this case, God is everything, right? God is love, and love is everything. There cannot be an opposing force in reality. There can only be an opposing force in the illusion, and in the illusion, the idea of Satan can be meaningful, right? Because there do seem to be in this illusion there seems to be evil, right? Now, in reality, there is no evil, and the evil that we think, the darkness that we think is dark, can easily be dispelled by light. That's why I think a student of A Course in Miracles doesn't have to be troubled at all by the quote-unquote evil or the satanic or the demonic, and does not have to engage in any kind of demonizing others or demonizing things, saying this is satanic or that's satanic, or that's not even necessary. All you need to do is shine the light, right? All you need to do is be the light. And then you know that the darkness is not real. It may look real, right? There may be some seeming reality to it, but the test is to see that and to say, no, that's not in my world. That's not real. I'm not going to make that real, because if I do make it real in my mind, it will have reality and it'll have power. If I just smile gently, it will go away. It won't have power. It'll be like, you're right. Try to get you, but I couldn't get you, right? So the idea of Satan, by the way, Satan in the Hebrew Bible, was actually working with God, was the adversary, right? In a way, it was like God's counselor. And like in the book of Job, was not in opposition to God, but was actually working with God. I think through the influence of Zoroastrianism, and when the Israelites were in Persia, when they went into exile into Persia, when the first temple was destroyed in like 586 BCE, they went into exile, and then the Persian influence had an impact, and Zoroastrian ideas came into the Israelite religion, and one of those ideas was this idea of hell, hell is a burning fire, and I believe this idea of Satan became where Satan is actually in opposition to God, and so that's why we see that somewhat in the New Testament. But and obviously Jesus in the New Testament does seem to give reality to hell and to this idea of I think it's in Matthew, like some will come to me and say, Lord, Lord, but I will say I never knew you, which seems to be a very unloving, unforgiving statement from Jesus. Like some will be eternally damned. And A Course in Miracles is saying, no, that's that's a mistaken notion. From our perspective, inside the illusion, that idea actually does make sense. Because if you look at our world, we live in a world of conflict, we live in a world of attack, we live in a world of war, constant war. So those things make sense, right? We live in a world of judgment, we live in a world of good guys and bad guys, heroes and villains. But in reality, all of that is just the play, the drama of life. That's the ego, that's the egoic drama that we all made up because that's what we wanted. But in God's reality, there's no reality to that whatsoever. And that's what A Course in Miracles is coming to tell us, and it's coming to say, listen, even in the illusion, you don't have to, that doesn't have to be your reality, right? That does not have to be your reality. Miracles can be your reality, right? Not grievances, not the darkness, not the quote unquote satanic. And you don't have to live according to your ego, right? You could be completely free of your ego. The ego does not have to run your life whatsoever. Spirit can guide you in all things. So, I hope that helps. I'm actually going to do another video today, a short video about musicians famous duos that can't get along, and the most recent is Tenacious D. The one duo you never thought would split up, and apparently they just split up. So I'm going to do a video about that, and I'm going to do another video about the Bhagavad Gita today. Stay tuned. Lesson 90 is next. It's the last review, and then we're going to move on to, no more reviews for a while. Thank you for listening. Feel free to leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Appreciate you. Thank you.